How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Untrained Ear. I'm Ottengroff, and today I'm here to talk to you about Sports Team and their brand new album, Boys These Days. So, Boys These Days is the third studio album from UK alt rock band Bad Sports Team. This album does tend to have a fun, folksy sound on the tracks that's accompanied by instruments that are kind of off meta for the rock sound with its implementation, for example, with instruments such as the saxophone, accordion, and harmonica, just to name a few. This album is chock full of very strong hooks in the choruses and very creative, lush instrumentation across the mix of every single track. Alex Rice, the lead vocalist, has a very cool kind of surfer aesthetic to his voice that jives well with the mix, and I found that he was, uh, from a vocal perspective, kind of reminiscent to Sebastian Murphy from Viagra Boys. From production to instrumentation to vocals, I really found that this album was the full package. So, as far as tracks worth talking about, I think you need look no further than, of course, Boys These Days, which is the album track. This one bears, as with every track on this album, an extremely catchy hook. I found this piece to be very Elton John reminiscent. For this one, there's a feature of harmonica and tambourine that add this very fun, like vintage aesthetic to the track. There is also a very chipper piano chord accompaniment that kind of dances across the chorus. And then there are these very like reality disconnected lyrics that add a very fun like social commentary piece to the track as well. Overall, it's just a very fun aesthetic piece that I think just adds a really fun element to the album, and really I think sets a good stage for the aesthetic that you're getting with Boys These Days on whole. So Sensible is a track that I also wanted to touch on, especially the accordion in the background of this piece that really paints an excellent picture, I think, for the narrative, which is one where it's very focused on this idea of this groupthink, like smarter than you mentality that pervades society, where Alex is seemingly kind of inviting his partner to break away from that with him. You also get these cello chords that are meant to add depth, along with synth tones here and there. The instrumentation overall, I think, is very like Frankenstein, like oddly selected, but awesomely like blends in this unique way that's like very impressively pleasant. And I think the track also does a great job building to this crescendo that is very strong and plays off very well across it. Which it's just a very deep piece that I think is also just very excellent in this. So I seem to be focusing on the like fun aesthetic in these tracks, but I think that's just like where this album kind of like sets up its tent. Bang Bang Bang. You got this really like Western anthemic style with literally like saloon shootout guitars that are accompanied by whistles, like very Western ballad vocals as well. The lyricism, however, is contrasting to that, where you get a social commentary again. It's very satirical. Just a super fun track that, again, the shootout is almost really Alex kind of uh, in a like standoff against like pop culture in a way, and just a super fun anthemic track that I think is just too cool to pass up on talking about. I was super fascinated by Bonnie, which is a track that has this awesome brass instrumentation with these little traces of like harp in the background, and all of that sets this like very epic support for the track. You get these very brooding guitar riffs that build tension and just fuel the very rebellious nature that everything invokes. This is clearly a Bonnie and Clyde ode, but it takes the like traditional Bonnie and Clyde story and it kind of recontextualizes it from the perspective of the characters that are being depicted. And I think is kind of ode to the perspective of a dying romance, and symbolically how it's like kind of barely surviving the fights and the altercations as the characters are kind of going through them from moment to moment. And so I just found this to be a super fascinating track and just lyrically teasing a lot of depth. So just the bangers just kind of roll one after another, I think, on this album. And really, any single track I felt like I could have picked up one after another, but there's really just one more I really wanted to touch on. So you have to talk about Maybe When We're 30, which is the closing piece on the album. This track is super ethereal. You get these pacing chords with pacing drums, you get vibey synth tones, and then you get these occasional like little electronic interjections that enhance this. Like it's very rhythmic. You get this like rhythmic, again, I'll use the word like ethereal vibe. And then you get these very like grounded lyrics about basically settling down as a couple, but it's in the most like disenchanted, like normal way. It's lyrics about like getting a dog, writing the township, about waste disposal, hating the neighbors, gossiping on Facebook. It's all these mundane things, with the overall point being that the company is kind of what matters here and not so much the context, right? It's the journey of the relationship together that is the substance here, not the like tasks oriented with. That's the substance of the romance. So I just thought it was a cute track. Yeah, so overall, I think Boys These Days is just chock full of commentary. It's got lush instrumentals out both ends. Every track is extremely memorable, and I really truly mean that when I say every track is memorable. From front to back, I was just immensely, overwhelmingly impressed with this album. And when I think about the baseless rating that I would give to this piece, I gotta give it a toe tapping 10.